Good morning, students. This is my lecture number 2 for class 11 subject English for chapter number 2. We are not afraid to die if we can all be together, from your main course book Hornbill. The chapter is written by Gordon Cook and Alan East. Children, if you remember, in my lecture number 1 of the same chapter, I taught you how the author planned his sea voyage, and he went with his wife Mary, his son Jonathan, and his daughter Sue, along with two crewmen, Herb and Larry, onto his sea voyage as he wanted to follow the steps of Captain James Cook. And there he designed his own ship for this sea journey. That ship was named Wavewalker. The first lecture from page number 13 to 15 is described into two sections. In the first section, the writer talks about his pleasant journey for 105,000 kilometers that passed pleasantly as they were sailing down the west coast of Africa to Cape Town. Then, in the second phase of his journey, he talks about the struggle they had to make in order to make their survival possible, because on January 2 the weather became atrocious and the huge gigantic waves started hitting their ship, and the ship got broken, and the writer had to take all the possible steps in order to repair the ship in order to make his survival possible. And he made all possible repairs to the ship along with the crewmen Herb and Larry. They all started working hard to repair the ship, and now in this lecture we will proceed further from page number 15 onwards. Now from page number 15, the author talks about Wavewalker's condition on January 3. By morning on January 3, the pumps had the water level sufficiently under control for them to take 2 hours rest in rotation. But they still had a tremendous leak somewhere below the waterline, and on checking, he found that nearly all the boat's main rib frames were smashed down to the keel. Smashed means badly broken. Keel means steel structure along the base of the ship. In fact, there was nothing holding up a whole section of the starboard hull except a few cupboard partitions. The great wave had put their auxiliary engines out of action. An auxiliary engine means small secondary engine used to board ships to operate a windlass in the ship. Then they had survived for 15 hours since the wave hit. But now he knew the Wavewalker would not hold together long enough for them to reach Australia. There was only one hope in the vast ocean which the author calculated in his charts. He checked his charts and calculated that there were two small islands a few hundred kilometers to the east, and one of them was Isle Amsterdam, which was a French scientific base, and he knew that it was their only hope to reach these pinpricks in the vast ocean. Pinpricks in the vast ocean means the two small islands in the vast ocean were very tiny, like the pricks caused by a pin. Basically, pinpricks means a prick caused by a pain. So the author thought that this island would be the only hope for their safety. But unless the wind and the seas abated means something unpleasant to become less intense. Then the author describes the condition on January 4. After 36 hours of continuous pumping, they reached the last few centimeters of water. Now they had only to keep pace with the water still coming in. They could not set any sail on the mainmast. Pressure on the rigging Rigging means the ropes and wires supporting the structure of the ship would simply pull the damaged section of the hull apart. So they hoisted the storm jib and headed for where the author thought the two islands were. His wife, Mary, found some corned beef and cracker biscuits, and they had their first meal in almost 2 days. Then their respite was short lived. Respite means a short period of rest. It was short lived because on the same day at 4 pm, black clouds began building up behind them. Within the hour, the wind was back to 40 knots and the seas were getting higher. The weather continued to deteriorate throughout the night, and by dawn on January 5, dawn means early morning. By early morning on January 5, their situation was again desperate. John's motivational words. When the author found nothing to do, he went into comfort the children. He saw his son, Jonathan, sitting, and he asked, "Daddy, are we going to die?" The author tried to assure him that he would try to save all of them, but Jonathan said that they were not afraid of dying if they can all be together. He said, "Daddy, you, Mummy, Sue, and I, if are together, then he has no fear of death." The author could find no words with which he responded, but he left the children's cabin determined to fight the sea with everything that he had. To protect the weakened starboard sides, he decided to heave it with the undamaged porthole facing onto the oncoming waves using an improvised sea anchor of heavy nylon rope and two 22-liter plastic barrels of paraffin. But all his efforts went in vain. He could not do much that he expected for his children to do. But the motivational words spoken by his son had filled him with new energy. Then the writer describes some other emotions. That evening, he sat with his wife Mary, together holding hands. As the motion of the ship brought more and more water in through the broken planks, they both felt the end was very near. Suddenly, he noticed that Sue joined them in their chart room, and she was in extreme pain. The left side of her head was now very swollen, and her blackened eyes narrowed to slits. She gave him a card that she had made. On the front, she had drawn caricatures of Mary and the writer, with the words that here are some funny people. Then she asked her father whether those caricatures made him laugh or not. The writer laughed a lot as well, because there was inside a message written by his daughter. It was, "Oh, how I love you both." So this card is to say thank you and let's hope for the best. Somehow we had to make it. This was the message of his daughter in a card that she handed over to his father. As all the members knew their end was almost near, but still the children were very much hopeful. They were optimistic and they trusted their father that unless or until their father was alive, their life would not at all be hurt at all. Therefore, these inspirational words of his son and the thank you message of his daughter filled him with the great inspiration of saving everybody's life. The love and belief of his children finally forced him to take the final decision on January 6. The writer checked and rechecked his calculations, and they had lost their main compass, and he was using a spare one which had not been corrected for magnetic variations. He made an allowance for this and another estimate of the influence of the westerly currents which flow through this part of the Indian Ocean. About 2 p.m., he went on deck and asked Larry to steer a course. Steer means turn. A course of 185 degrees, and he knew if they were lucky. He told him with a conviction he did not feel he could expect to see the island at about 5 p.m. The writer calculated, and on the basis of his final statistics, he declared that if they were lucky enough, would find the island by 5 p.m. Then, with a heavy heart, he went below, climbed on his bunk, and amazingly dozed off. Dozed off means he slept down. And then the author describes his children's love even at the odd times. When, after sleeping, the author woke up at 6 p.m. and he noticed that it was growing dark. He knew that they had missed the island, and with the sail he had left, he could not hope to beat back into the westerly winds. At that moment, suddenly he noticed a tousled head appeared by his bunk, and it was Jonathan, who asked his father if he could have a hug. The father asked why. Why are you getting a hug now? The child said, because I found you the best daddy in the whole world. The writer could not understand why the children were using such words, and he knew that they had lost the island. But then the writer found his daughter, who had blackened eyes, swollen head, deep cut under her eye. Still the child was courageous enough, strengthened enough to motivate the father that he was the best daddy in the world. Finally, the result of optimism under direst stress. His children shouted when they showed him the island that the father was looking for. The island was a bleak piece of volcanic rocks with little vegetation, but they found as if it was the most beautiful island in the world because it was the island that made their survival possible. They anchored offshore for the night, and the next morning they found all 28 inhabitants of the island welcomed them and helped them ashore. With land under his feet again, the author's thoughts were full of Larry and Herbie, cheerful and optimistic under the direst stress, and of Mary, who stayed at the wheel for all those crucial hours. Most of all, he thought of a 7-year-old girl who did not want them to worry about a head injury, which subsequently took 6 minor operations to remove a recurring blood clot between skin and skull, and of a 6-year-old boy who was not afraid to die. The author realized it was the result of optimism that made their victory possible. They all fought the roughest time or the challenging time of their life because of the togetherness, because of the trust, and the most important, the optimism. The optimism helped them to fight the direst stress, and due to that they were able to survive, and they all landed at the island Isle Amsterdam. Now I'll assign you homework of the day. Children, you all have to read this complete chapter thoroughly and answer all 3 questions under the heading Understanding the Text given on page number 18 in your book Hornbill for chapter number 2. Thank you. This is the end of this lecture.